thefts every day. It's in the thousands. It happens all the time. How many mass shootings committed by autistic SSRI white people? I don't even know. I mean, it's probably in the single digits in the last decade in the city. That's the difference, and everybody knows that. But you're really just trying to carry water for liberal ideology. It's an ideological position.
I'm really not. I can absolutely say, yes, there is way too much black on black crime, for example, involving guns in Chicago.
And black on white also.
Yes, but there is way too much gun violence in Chicago. Right? I mean, it's indisputable. I've got no problem saying that. The difference is I don't then lead myself into a thought process where I have to avoid all black people in case they shoot me. And you've already...
Wait, why? I mean, if you don't understand that black on black crime and white on white crime is happening at the exact same fucking levels because people end up doing crimes to their immediate neighbors first and foremost, then why wouldn't you be afraid? If you think black on black crime is far higher for some reason, then Nick Fuentes is honest and true, okay? That's the fucking limit with right-wingers talking to someone like Nick Fuentes. If Nick Fuentes wasn't so flustered in this moment, he would probably say as such. He'd be like, okay, well, you brought that up yourself. You agree with me. I'm just simply saying the quiet part out loud that you're too afraid to fucking admit.
Conceded that you are a racist. So when people hear you then say, I don't want to be living...
Like, do you see what I mean, though? Because, like, the only problem that Piers Morgan, I guess, at this point has with Nick Fuentes is that he says he's a racist and Piers doesn't, you know? Like, why would anybody go, okay, well, you guys both agree that black people are violent, it seems. Okay. Then the guy who also then follows that up by saying, yeah, you know what? I'm not afraid to say it. They're violent, and that's why I avoid them, is probably correct if they're operating, because they seemingly are operating on the same fucking moral playing field.
Anywhere near black people, they already have heard you say, I'm a racist, so they assume you're doing that because of people's skin color. I don't think you would probably dispute that, right?
Well, you're separating two different things. The monologue, when I said I don't want to live around black people, that was after Irina Zarutska got shot. And it's true. I mean, they are a...
She didn't get shot. She got stabbed.
Largely.
Also, ironically enough, by a mentally ill person. So it's not just white people that seemingly do SSRI-born crimes in the way that you described school shootings. Turns out, black people can also be mentally ill. But of course, because you're a fucking white supremacist, when it's a mentally ill black person, that's because he's black. Okay? That's the difference. That's what it is. Yes, dude, there is a real problem with mental illness in this fucking country. Okay? That's the difference, though. When a black person who has significant mental health complications who ends up fucking snapping and doing something insane, like a horrifying act of violence, you chalk that up as yet another instance of black crime. This is how they are. When a white person does it, you're like, well, the reason why the white person did it is because they were demonstrating antisocial personality disordered behavior. I have no SS.
White people that have committed school shootings as the numerator, what's that percentage?
For both black and whites, the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings generally is about the same.
No, yet, tell me the number, and then
the only focus of your attention is the black shootings, the black crime. You don't want to live around black people. You want to avoid black people. You don't want interracial marriages or relationships that may produce black people. And yet, when I point out to you that there are many parts of crime in America where actually there's a majority of white people that perpetrate them, you don't care. You don't have any interest in that. It doesn't exercise.
I mean, Piers is also identifying exactly what Nick Fuentes has been doing, which, I guess he's not exactly sheltering his worldview here, but it's like, it's fine if white people do crimes. I just don't fuck with black people doing crimes is basically the take here.
Size your mind. Maybe
no one's buying this. This argument lost. No one is buying this. Everybody understands per capita, and people can even see what you race ahead and say, well, we're comparing the proportion of white
shootings, right? Like, the percentage of black people that are responsible for school shootings is the same. Like, it's adjusted the population pretty much, give or take. But he wants to compare like school shootings committed by white people across the entire board, like across the entire population of white people, as opposed to all violent crimes, right? As opposed to all violent crimes, not just gang violence, not just mass shootings in general, but all violent crimes, right? And you can't do that. That's an entirely separate That's an entirely black people do a violent crime, which is bullshit.
The proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue, is that you're very likely, if you encounter black people or a young black man in the city, that you're going to be the victim.
This is why I'll give you my money. Thank you. The #1 anti-racist broadcast on the platform, on all platforms. The Piker Broadcasting Service is sponsored by you, the viewers, for you, the viewers. Ladies and gentlemen, your voluntary subscriptions in the form of a $6 a month subscription or a free one in the form of a Twitch Prime will allow you to listen to, I mean, it's free regardless whether you pay or not, but will allow you to listen to the #1 PhD in racism haver, Hasanabi Piker.
Where does that leave us? We have 2 weeks left in the year before we go on our Christmas hiatus. You know, I'm not a big fan of any kind of hiatus. I would prefer just to work. But it is taxing, it is grueling, of course. And there's a lot of infrastructure here that requires me to work all day, every day, Monday to Friday, with some extra work on the weekends, usually meetings.
Yeah, apparently Tim Pool is running out of funds because Russia cut his money. I don't understand how guys like this actually get into debt. Like, I don't get it. Like, how much growth have you had? How much, like, isn't it supposed to be like a fairly cheap production? I guess he does have a lot of people that he employs and stuff, right? He spent it all on beanies. He built a compound. Yeah, but he fucking built a compound in like what, West Virginia or some shit, right? Like, that's not, you know, that's expensive, but you can probably build that with the same fucking price of this house that I bought, you know? And I just assume, bro, we're talking about a guy who is not operating with your budget. Now, through that shit, what the hell were you spending it on? You didn't even get the Turkish hair transplants. Where did it go? You know what I mean? He did spend a lot of money on advertising. Maybe that's what it is. He also tried making a skateboarding brand sponsoring canceled skaters, Lamau. Stop blowing the Russia bag. I want one, Goofy. Anyway, we got to keep going with this.
Victim of a violent crime, of a robbery, a mugging, a car theft, a carjacking, or a murder. That's the difference, and it's about proportionality. And everybody sees past that because we all live in reality. You want to talk about product of your environment? People that live in New York, Chicago, LA, we live in reality. We live in this environment, and we see what it's like. And the threat, the danger.
Now we know. Now we know where the money went, dude. It's like that fucking meme. It's like $200,000 on a NASCAR advertisement. Please, someone help me. Someone help me budget this, guys. I can't do it.
Danger in terms of probability it's not even comparable. And I would say this to your point. If you're in a high school and truly, if you see a white person who looks like a little autistic, he's got the SSRI stare and he reaches for a backpack, people joke and say, run. Similarly, if you see a jalopy pulling up with a bunch of black people in it and they got their pants around the ankles, you're going to run also. And I'm saying the same thing.
They got their pants around the ankles. Dude, the funniest part about people who try to make it seem like their racist politics are actually so new and so unique and so anti-establishment is that they end up sounding like people's grandparents. Okay? Like, how have you not figured out a new way to say racist shit? They're coming around with a jalopy with their pants around their ankles. Pick up your pants, please. Rush Limbaugh channeling through him. Bro, Rush Limbaugh would probably be like, what the fuck are you saying? That's not even Rush Limbaugh's generation, brother. That's like pre-William F. Buckley type shit.
The difference is The latter happens much more often. It's much more common. You know, in Chicago, there's like 10,000 carjackings and car.
They're rude. I mean, you know what I mean. I'm just using the fucking stupid ass thing that he was saying to describe people experiencing mental health complications.
In this city, in Chicago, the South Side, the West Side, huge criminal population, and I don't want to live anywhere near it. And I do. I want to live in a white neighborhood.
Huge criminal population. I wonder what he means.
I think that that's extremely desirable, and I think even
Nick,
black people.
Again, Nick, you're perfectly entitled to that view. But when you have obviously prefaced all this by saying, I am a racist, unashamedly, then people will assume that all your thought processes about all of these issues are driven by an aversion to people based on their skin color, which is the purest personification of racism.
Well, it's not an aversion. I would say it's the opposite. I like my own people. My own people are familiar to me, and I think that's true across the board. I think that people seek out other people that are like themselves, and every other group does this, whether it's blacks, Hispanics, Asians. You know, I get a lot of attacks when I talk about that I'm against interracial marriage. And what's funny is that every other group is against interracial or interethnic marriage. Jews,
but you're the
Chinese,
you're the product of an
Hispanics.
interracial marriage.
No! No! Oh, no! Hey, yo, chill. Chill. Look at his face. Hey, debunking. Guess what, dude? The fact checkers got you on that one, didn't they? Oh, no. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, this is so fucking stupid. Every other race wants to do it. Every other race is against race mixing. I have, with the exception of like Dr. Umar or whatever, I've never met a black person that has said that they need to make miscegenation illegal, okay? The difference is there are certain groups of people in this country of every type of background that say, oh, you got to keep it in the family. You got to keep it in the family. I'm not one of those people. I think it's fucking silly, whatever, right? But there's only one group of people that take it a step beyond and actually want to roll back the clock on how things used to be. And that is not even all white people, of course, obviously, but a specific kind of white person that says, we got to make it illegal. Okay? That's the difference. That's the difference. Yeah, people have, this is also like the difference between like, you know, dating preferences versus people just like writing off entire races, right? Like everyone has dating preferences. It's normal. It's healthy. It's understandable, okay? Especially if you have, I guess, let's say, tasted the rainbow, okay? And you've made up your mind on like what kind of person you enjoy being around. Oh yeah, I thought you were going to bring up Israel. Yeah, I mean Israel is also the white supremacist paradise in that regard. So yes, you're right. It is also a fascist country, which is precisely the reason why interfaith marriages are not only frowned upon, but also technically not considered by the state in Israel. And also, the guys I'm talking about here in America are the American fascist white supremacists. My point is, I've never met a black person, maybe they exist out there, but I don't think it's the norm, that says, oh, we got to make it illegal. We got to make it illegal for black people to marry white people. Okay? Clarence Thomas. Okay, dude. His wife is white, okay? Shut the fuck up. That doesn't count, okay? That is the one exception. That's the one exception. And he has a white wife. Come on. That's one guy. And I never met him. So technically my point still stands. And if you say Candace Owens' husband is also white. I'm beginning to notice something. Maybe Dr. Umar was right. What the hell is going on? No, but it is literally just fucking it is literally Clarence Thomas, I guess. Anyway, Never ask a racist the ethnicity of their significant other. True.
Yeah, I mean, that's debatable. And
Not
let's say
really.
for the sake
Not
of argument,
really.
sure.
No, you're the product of an interracial marriage, and your father is part Mexican. You're literally,
For the sake of
you're
argument,
literally
we
the
can
very
say sure.
person you've just told me you want to avoid.
What race is Hispanic? Is that a race?
Well, what do you think it is?
I'm asking you, what race is Hispanic?
Hispanic. Of course it's a race. It's called Hispanic.
It's a mix between two races. It's a mix between indigenous
It's
Americans
not
and
white, though,
Europeans.
is it? It's not white.
Well, you're more of a racial purist than me. You got like
Not
a one
really.
drop
You just
rule
keep
thing.
saying.
Damn, get him, Piers. Yeah, tell him. Yeah, that's right. That's right, dude. Yeah, you're Hispanic.
You only want to live in a
Kind of.
white neighborhood, but you're literally from a mixed race background yourself.
Hispanic
You've
is
literally-
race. Both of them are idiots. I know, but it's fun. Have you considered that it's funny that he's actually sweating? Especially because all of this is totally and utterly inconsequential. That's my point, at least, right? Like, every single part of this is completely made up and totally arbitrary, and is ridiculous to even spend any time on like how we have to segment off society, which is, I think, the greatest counter to the ideology that a Mexican neo-Nazi could present. Okay, a product of technically race mixing. And I'm not just saying that because I always say I'm white Chinese, okay? And want to be white Chinese. And I am, in my heart and soul, white Chinese. That's not the reason why I'm saying that. I know many people are going to come in here and be like, Hassan, you're only saying that because you think you're Chinese. Like, no, I know I'm Chinese. That's the difference. And yeah, race is arbitrary. Okay, let's continue.
And I
Got
live in
Mexican blood.
I know, and I live in a non-white neighborhood too. I'm trying to get out of here though, but I'm trying to get out. But here's the thing.
Do you have any
Is there was-
non-white? Do you have any non-white friends? Genuine question.
Most of my friends are non-white. Most of my friends are not, and non-white people love my show.
How many
because
are
they
black?
respect the honesty.
How many of your friends are black?
Many of them, like at least a dozen.
Wow.
Ye being one
Yeah.
who you know, Sneeko being another who you also know.
Yeah. So how do they feel when you say,
Bro, this is again another limitation of the caucasity demonstrated by Piers Morgan. How many of your friends are black? It was like, this is such a dumb question. Name all your black friends right now. I like that he named two famously. Is Sneeko seriously black? I mean, he's Haitian. I think he's Haitian Filipino. But also, this is the dumbest. This is the dumbest argument, and his response literally is two white supremacist black people. At least, I don't know where they're at right now in their politics, but they were at some point when they were friends with Nick Fuentes.
you just want to be away from any black people, walk away from them?
Well, you know what Ye told me? I'll tell you verbatim what he said. That it doesn't come from a place of, and you use the word aversion. That's the first thing I'll
Wait, what just happened?
him what he said. That it doesn't come from a
The fuck? I want to know what he said. Hey, yo. Piers Morgan uncensored. Oh, he said the N-word? Bro, at that point, cutting that off is just serving his purpose. You know what I mean? What are you doing? Why don't they just bleep it? I know you want to fucking monetize this shit, you goddamn media demon, you, but yeah, what the fuck? This is what he said.
You say you just want to be away from any black people, walk.
I'll tell you verbatim what he said. He said, so you use the N-word. I said, yeah. He goes, well, when niggas are being niggas. I said, so true. That's so true. So they feel like they're in complete agreement with me.
Wow, he's so fucking, can he say that? Oh my God, he's so cool. He's so cool. He's so edgy and cool.
Place of, and you use the word aversion. That's the first thing I'll actually dispute.
Okay.
It's not an aversion on the basis of skin color, because that would seem to suggest it's like a stubborn, irrational bigotry. I don't consider myself a bigot. I consider myself a racial realist. I'm realistic about how the races are, and I speak provocatively about it. And I speak provocatively about our tribalistic instincts and tendencies as human beings. And I'm not a liberal ideologue that says that over time and with enough education, we're all going to see.
Here we go with the fucking white identitarian bullshit, dude. Oh my God. Even the races became woke, brother. What is happening? Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not a bigot. I'm a race realist. Oh, I just want to save white people. White people are under attack. It's like the fucking permanent victimhood narrative. I feel like that shit is also un-American. Like, yeah, there's always been that kind of like motivating ideology amongst like some white people, right? But it's loser shit, and I feel like it's not a very American sentiment. The Westoid is incapable of transcending liberalism is true. Yeah. I just want white people to have a safe space. Ugh. That kind of whining is the most American? What are you talking about? No, I give Americans credit while being a very racist country in its fundamentals, being, and having a lot of racial wounds that have not healed or have even been addressed. Americans, by and large, are much more. America is one of the most diverse nations on the planet, and Americans are, by and large, much more tolerant, I would say, than other countries are. This doesn't mean that there isn't like a tremendous amount of racism. It's systematized, and it yields these results that we see, that we experience, that Nick Fuentes can use to create this fucking whiny ass narrative. But the lost cause shit is like loser shit. What's good? Are you out? All right, get the fuck out of here, bro.
This great brotherhood where we're colorblind and everybody's the same. I don't think that's ever going away. I think that race is real. It's not just skin deep. It matters to us and it matters to each other. And black people know that, and Hispanics know that, and Asians know that, and people like me that have partial Mexican ancestry, we know that too. And I think on that basis, we can have mutual respect and understanding, not aversion based on skin color.
The reason I use the word aversion is you literally said that you should walk the other way if you see black people. That is an aversion to black people based on their skin color.
No, that's called economy of information. That's economy of information. That's safety. And I said in the same monologue, if you watch it, it's like, I feel sorry. The problem is you clip the 10 seconds. I don't know if you watched the whole show, but in that monologue, I said, most black people are not violent or criminals. I said, and it's unfortunate that we're going to offend them when we turn and walk the other way. I said, but the problem is we don't know. We can't tell. And someone like Irina Zarutska, she sat down in front of a black man with her headphones in and wasn't paying attention because she was being a good liberal and said, I'm not uncomfortable by this. I'm progressive. Then she got stabbed in the neck. And I said, it's unfortunate that you would have to sit behind the black man.
The audacity of insane racists to literally victim blame a woman who got fucking stabbed to death on a bus is psychotic, by the way. Like, that is psychotic. Like, she was too woke, too lip-tarded. That's why she got fucking stabbed in the neck. What an insane thing to say. It's just so psychotic. Oh, it was a train? My bad. It wasn't a bus. It was a light rail train. I apologize. Like the idea that like you're supposed to be like constantly in an environment of panic around anyone with like a little bit of melanin. Duop mods, where's Kaya? I've hired someone to abuse her off screen. That's where she's not here right now. He said mods. Yeah, she's doing her daily beatings.
To be safe, and if he's not violent or schizophrenic, he might be offended by that. I said, but I would rather offend him.
How many deranged?
As a real capitalist, I outsource my labor. I got too tired.
Die.
How many deranged white men have committed atrocious acts of murder in the last 10 years in America?
By the way, for the record, there is a understandable and very real environment of fear that women live in, right? When they're walking home alone at night. And these guys are the very same people that literally say, like, women need to get the fuck over that kind of fear, as a direct consequence of how much violence and stalking and predatory behavior that women experience with regular frequency, much higher than the instance of like black on white crime that this fucking dipshit is talking about here, okay? And how normalized that sort of behavior is, and how a lot of men just don't even realize that they're doing it in many circumstances, to be as charitable as possible in this circumstance. Like, it's just, many of them do know, and they don't give a shit, obviously. Like, whether it be, a snide remark, or whether it be just like following someone. Like, women are in a constant state of fucking panic, especially at night when they're walking alone. That is the real, actual economy of information, right? That's the actual economy of information. Not whatever the fuck this guy's talking about. But of course, when women bring that up, these are the first people to say, you're ridiculous. You're imagining things. Shut the fuck up. And yeah, that's just men across the board, not a specific race, obviously. Okay? He turns around and says, like, that's discrimination against men.
Okay.
Proportionally far fewer.
But
Far fewer.
How many? Do you know how many?
You have a research team. You pull it up.
I mean, you're very big on. You're obviously extremely exercised by that one story, which was horrific, for the record, absolutely horrific, and should never have happened. The person who perpetrated that evil act had a string of previous offences and should have been picked up more, and it should have been amplified more. I completely concur with all of that. But I just suspect you have no idea how many white people have committed similar crimes, do you?
No, because I know it's far fewer from experience.
Okay.
Because it's like you said. Well, and hang on.
Such an omega ass take. You tell women not to be afraid of being assaulted, but you're afraid of some black kids? Yeah, exactly. No, that's what it is. He's like, black teenagers terrify me down to the bone. Do you understand? He's like, you don't understand. You don't know how terrifying it is, okay? You don't understand how terrifying it is to just walk by a gaggle of black teenagers. They might say something about my outfit. This is devastating to me personally, and I am so scared, okay? It's the economy of information. Every time he goes to like Costco or whatever and comes back home, he's like, wow, another day where I've avoided murder. It was crazy.
And I would add to that, Irina Zarutska wasn't the first one. That was also after Austin Metcalf was killed in Texas.
Sure.
After
But
Carmelo
how many
Anthony
times has it
stabbed
been
him in the
perpetrated
neck.
by white people?
Well, hang on. Let me finish my point.
But you're
And then
implying
not
that
only
white
did-
people don't do this. And my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is of course,
Well, I never said white people don't do it.
deranged white people commit heinous acts. But you don't either
No
know,
disagreement.
you neither know nor care, or maybe both. Maybe you do know but don't care. You only seem to be focused on black people who commit crimes. And again, if you hadn't prefaced the whole debate about racism by openly conceding you are a racist, I could read other connotations into what you've been saying. But once you've said, I'm a racist, and then you only talk about black crime, I think people can watch this and they can say, yeah, he's a racist. And everything that he says about crime is driven through the prism of being a racist who judges people according to their skin color.
Well, it's funny because it's quite on the contrary. And I said this in a similar monologue. The problem is not that I wake up and I walk down the street and I see someone that doesn't look like me and it makes me angry.
Sometimes I go back and forth on this, okay? Because sometimes I feel like Piers is cooking him, and in other instances almost feels like a Kanye West, Alex Jones type situation where he's like, don't say the quiet part out loud. What are you doing? Like, I can't tell if Piers Morgan is telling him how to be better at doing like racist dog whistles, or if he actually has like a significant disagreement with what Nick Fuentes is saying and doing. Because it literally feels like he's like, well, I agree with you on some of these things, right? but you're saying you're racist. Don't concede on being racist from the start. You're doing a bad job. Reminder that Nick Fuentes is such a bitch-made pussycock about his views that when he was literally asked by a cop if he was a white supremacist, he said he wasn't. Yes. When asked by a cop if he was actually a white supremacist, Nick Fuentes said, no, I'm Mexican. My last name is Fuentes. He did do that. Yeah, that's on camera, body camera specifically.
The problem is there's a pattern of behavior, which we've all seen. Blacks in America have become narcissistic, and they become narcissistic because they've been told they're victims of racism, they're victims of slavery. They've been told, really, there's no accountability. If they're rude, if they're inconsiderate, if they're criminal, they are told that they have no agency for their actions. They're being told, if you act in this way, it's because the white.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, no, totally, dude. That's how crime, like this stuff sounds so stupid to me. I don't know. It's just like, that's how crime manifests because black people are narcissistic. Like, how fucking stupid of an argument is this? When you reduce it, when you actually try to whittle this argument down to its fucking core, and what he has down there is basically, well, you know, black people are narcissistic because they've been told that they were victims of slavery, which fucking they were generationally and historically. What the fuck are we talking about? Like, what do you think? Is he a slavery didn't happen truther as well? Like, I don't know where he's coming from. But like, when you reduce it down to like, wow, it's you know, it's because black people are narcissistic and feel like they have no accountability, that's why they do crimes. It's so fucking stupid. Really? That's the reason? Who has a sense of entitlement in this country? Fucking random black people growing up in impoverished neighborhoods, or I don't know, rich white people. Who do you feel like, if that is how crime manifests, who do you feel like has a higher sense of entitlement? I mean, fucking Nick Fuentes has an insane level of entitlement. Maybe it's because that's the Mexican half. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. It's just he is of mixed race, of ethnic background, so maybe that's the reason why he has this sense of entitlement. It's fucking ridiculous. It's so stupid. Like, seriously, when you ask someone sincerely, okay, like, what do you think is the reason for crime? Poverty and systemic discrimination, or fucking, I don't know, cultural attitudes and narcissism? If you turn around and say cultural attitudes and narcissism, you're a fucking idiot. I don't know. It just blows my fucking mind that this is a serious point of contention here.
White man made you that way. It's because the system's rigged against you. And so we've been telling black people this for a generation, and now there's no rules. Now they go, and what we hate to see as decent people, not even as white people, but decent people, even black people too, what we hate to see is rudeness, obnoxiousness, inconsideration, criminality, violence. And that's that pattern of behavior that we see all over social media, on
so
the
just to
body
be clear,
cam footage,
you don't like black people who play the victim and are rude. Is that your position?
I don't like that pattern of behavior.
And who are narcissists?
I see where this is going.
Yeah, you're ahead of me.
Turn this around on
you're
me.
ahead of me, aren't you? Because when I said,
Very
what black friends have you got? You said,
I am kind of black, aren't I?
No, not that. You said,
Oh, yeah,
I'm not
also.
saying you. I'm just saying your choice of black friend is Ye, who is arguably the #1 black victimhood narcissist in America. Do you understand the problem? So
What?
he's
That's where you went with that, Piers? What the fuck? Bro, what the fuck is this? What is happening? Are they having a meet off? Like, what's going on? What the fuck? This is off the rails, bro. What the? Like, there is so much you can shit on, at least this version of Kanye West over. And he's like, he's basically calling him uppity. That's crazy. Like, that is crazy. Because that's what Nick was doing, right? Like, he's saying, you know, it's the classic, again, 1940s racism that he keeps bringing back for some fucking weird reason, whether he's like talking about jalopies and you know, pants around their ankles, or how he's saying uppity, right? Like, that's what the argument is. It's a racialized term for those of you who don't know. You probably might not have heard it because most new age racists don't even say the term anymore. And it's crazy to me that Piers Morgan came in and was like, well, guess what? You know who's really uppity? Kanye West. which is crazy. That's what is happening here. Uppity is racist? Yes. It is a racialized term most commonly used against black people to say that black people don't know their position in society, and they are, in the basically what Nick Fuentes was describing. It's to say all of that they are narcissistic, and that black people are, like, literally, if you want to understand what the descriptor is, what the descriptor is for uppity, it's basically what Nick Fuentes just described without saying the word. Yeah, acting above your station. And now Piers Morgan is basically turning around and going, well, Kanye West is like that, which is crazy.
He's your friend. He's one of the very few black people you want to be associated with, but he's the epitome of what you just said you abhor about narcissistic black people.
I disagree. I disagree with you, and I'll tell you why. Because Ye, if you've ever met him in real life.
I have, yeah.
Nick Fuentes is saying all black people are narcissistic and trying to reach above their station and don't know their place in civilized society because they're barbaric. You're turning around and saying, well, Kanye West is like that. Even if Kanye West is a narcissist, this is not the appropriate angle of attack here, because it almost comes across as you saying that Kanye West doesn't know his station. He said epitome, right? Not uppity, I think. No. He said Kanye West is the epitome of what you described, when Nick Fuentes wasn't actually describing like the particular personality of one person. He was describing how black people operate in general.
Okay, well, then he's nothing but polite, considerate.
Actually, he was very rude to me the last 2 times I interviewed him. He's a supreme narcissist, and he's also...
You keep interrupting me. You're very rude. Are you black?
I
Because you're being very rude by interrupting me right now.
To you.
I'm giving you a hard time, but I do want to finish my point. I do want to finish my point about Ye. He is a guy who, when I was with him, wanted to make sure that everybody was heard. Everybody felt included. He's actually a very soft-spoken guy, very polite, and by the way, not violent. When you look at all the rappers that are in the music game, many of them, especially from Chicago, drill rap, they're talking about killing people, shooting people, they gangbang. He notably, if you know about him, he got his start because he was a nerd. He wore a backpack and a polo, and he wasn't a gangbanger. He rapped about his feelings and girls and his dreams and his ambitions. So no, and by the way, he would tell me all the time, he doesn't even feel black. They make him feel not black because he doesn't do those things, because he's soft-spoken, because he's artistic, because he's a bit of a nerd or likes fashion. So I would disagree. He's actually not like that at all. But
okay.
We're talking
He's also a Hitler-loving anti-Semite. And we're going to take a little commercial break here, and we're going to come back and talk about anti-Semitism and your views about Jews. Answered emphatically that you turn to anti-Semitism. In your interview with Stephen Crowder last week, you answered emphatically that you don't hate all Jews. Is that correct? That's your position?
Yes.
Okay. So I want to play you this clip.
Well, I don't hate any Jews. Let me just amend that. I don't hate any Jews.
Okay. Let's play this clip.
The reason I've had it is because my opposition to world Jewry and Israel is rooted in absolute, uncontestable fact. We have the truth on our side. That's why we're winning, because we are telling the truth about the historical antagonism between Jews and Europeans, between Jews and Christians. The theological, historical, racial, cultural, and political antagonisms between organized Jewry and the Christians, organized Jewry and Europeans. And the reason that we are winning that argument is because it's real, it's true. I can prove it. I can show you. I can name the names. I can show you the paper trail, the money. That is why we're winning. That is why all of this is raising the consciousness.
When you say you have this opposition to world Jewry, I mean, it's one thing to criticize, for example, the Israeli government over what it's been doing in Gaza. I've done that myself. When you talk about world Jewry, I presume you're talking about the 15 million Jews in the world, and you are opposed to them. How does that square with your position that you don't hate any Jews?
I wonder if, like, this level of platforming Nick Fuentes is like unrestrained conspiratorial anti-Semitism will cause liberals to understand where I'm coming from when I describe my position on Israel. Or I wonder if they even make that distinction where they just go, nah, you're anti-Israel, fuck you, you're the same as Nick Fuentes. Why are we platforming him? Here. This was live streamed 9 hours ago. It had 88,000 views while it was going live, and it already has 1.2 million views. So no, I'm not platforming it. It's got 1.2 million views in 9 hours. Yeah, I know. You don't have to fucking insert Elon Musk in this conversation, Megaphonics. Yes, Elon Musk believes what Nick Fuentes is saying here as well.
Well, do you take issue with my use of the term world Jewry?
Well, what do you mean by that?
Or do you take issue with it? Do you have a problem with that?
Clarify what you mean by it.
Well, it's funny you bring that up. The gaslighting's crazy because I use that expression on my show all the time. I say organized Jewry, world Jewry. And do you know that for like 30 years, the World Jewish Congress has an annual keynote called the State of World Jewry? Barry Weiss has given it. You can look it up. It's on YouTube. She gives the State of World Jewry
what do you
address.
mean? But Nick, what do you mean by it?
I mean, you have to talk about, there's a concept of Jewish peoplehood. It's the sense that they are part of a common nationality, a common tribe, a common people. And so where they reside in Israel, the United States or Europe or elsewhere, they see each other above or maybe on a different level alongside their nationality, their state, wherever they reside. If they're in Germany, France, the United States, they see themselves as part of a transnational nation, of an international nation. The Jews in America, the Jews in Israel, they identify as Israeli or American, but they also have something in common. They identify as part of a common nation, which I would say there's a world Jewish population. It's world Jewry. And world Jewry has representatives. There is such a thing as the World Jewish Congress, where they actually elect, it's democratic, all the local Jewish organizations elect representatives to represent proportionally the Jewish population in their area at the World Jewish Congress. And it's sort of like Davos. It's like the World Economic Forum, but it's exclusively for members of the Jewish nation that exists across the world. And so that's a real thing. And I didn't make that up, and that didn't come from 4chan. It's like I said in that clip. I read what they write. I read their books. I watch these speeches. I watch a speech from Barry Weiss. I pay very close attention. So that's what I mean by that. There is such a thing as...
He's actually cooking up bullshit off the top of his head. No, everything he said, there is a... Yes, world Jewry is both utilized by Nazis historically, but also is a real conference. He's not wrong about that. Like when someone uses Jewry, the Nazis have used the term international Jewry, world Jewry, but also it is a terminology that is that's also utilized by like Jewish advocacy groups as well. Yeah, see, the State of World Jewry Address by Barry Weiss. The inaugural State of World Jewry Address was given in 1980 by Abba Eban. Over the 4 decades that followed, Eban's epochal speech was followed by those from luminaries, including Elie Wiesel. It's like, Christians doing fucking global Christian conferences or some shit like that, right? The reason why he is hyper focusing on the Jewish element is because he hates Jews. But the reason why that kind of statement is actually more salient now than ever before and invites scrutiny and skepticism is because most of these conferences, unfortunately, have actually revolved around defending Israel or have been attended by people who are ultra-Zionists. This does not mean that there is a monolithic understanding of Israel amongst the Jewish population, but that is what Nick Fuentes is claiming. And the biggest problem here is not just that Nick Fuentes is claiming this, but also a lot of Jewish Zionists will also say this as well, not realizing that that doesn't actually create an environment of protection against Israel, but instead makes people who are not as invested in the continuation of Israel as an apartheid state go, oh, that's weird. That's kind of fucked up. Do you understand? But yeah, it's like NAACP, right? Just because it has the word colored in it doesn't, make it the same when Nick Fuentes is referring to black people like that. Do you see what I mean?
It's a nation that exists across borders on a global scale. They're organized and they have a national self-interest as that nation, as that tribe.
So if you don't hate any Jews, what do you like about them?
I like a lot of things about them. I think they're funny. I think they're smart. I think that they're pretty remarkable people. And as Christians, especially as Catholics, we say they're remarkable. And this has been adjudicated in Catholic doctrine for thousands of years. We say that they're a witness people. And so we actually, there's provisions inside of Catholic doctrine that says we need to give them special protections because they were a witness to Christ's passion. So, this is why you can't clip the show. You have to watch the whole thing. I say this repeatedly.
Oh, God. Oh, I actually love Jews. Source, La Bible. This kind of shit does make me unironically an r/Reddit atheist, bro. He's just like, yo, you don't understand. I love Jews. The Bible fucking says we gotta love Jews. Catholics are mandated to love Jews is also funny considering that until recently, Catholicism hadn't gotten the patch where it was like, hey, maybe we should stop saying Jews are Christ killers. Like that's a couple decades old, man. Saying that Catholics especially love Jews is crazy.
Interviews, I do think they're remarkable. By definition, they're exceptional people. It's just that there is a sort of natural opposition between them and Christians because of the theology. We believe that Christ is the Messiah. They don't. They have been a minority in Christian lands for thousands of years, and they have been pushed around and expelled, and they've been persecuted and segregated. And that's why there's a lot of paranoia. There's a lot of distrust. There's maybe some sense of chauvinism among Jewish people. So there is, like I said in that clip, there is an historical antagonism between these two peoples, between Christendom and Jewry, and that has always been the case in Europe. But I don't hate them, and I think I actually sort of understand them in a weird way. I think that because I've studied a lot of their politics, I think I really kind of know them in a way, and it doesn't come from a place of hatred.
Do you have any Jewish friends?
I do. I have many, yes.
Well, that's weird because you said this.
Jews and Christians have never been friends, ever. Not since Jesus Christ.
No. Okay, listen. Oh, he got his ass. Oh, that was good. That was fucking good. Listen. That's that classic nasty ass British journalist move right there. Oh my God, that was fucked up. Okay, I can't believe I'm handing Piers his fucking flowers here. That was that was funny. That's a good clip. That's a good ass clip. Jesus Christ. Let's see what he
with
said.
the Pharisees. Have we ever been friends? Not since Saul was leading the charge persecuting the Christians. Not since the Roman Empire, not since the Middle Ages. Never. We've never been friends. We've never been allies. We've always been set against each other, actually. And even here in the United States, it was communist Jews who were the architects of both communism and the civil rights laws that are dispossessing white Christians of their land and civilization.
The Jews and Christians have never been friends ever, except for you and your Jewish friends.
Yeah, so easy. As peoples, as nations.
Got it.
Not saying every individual Christian, and of course there have been Christians and there have been Christian converts to Judaism, Jewish converts, Christian. You're nodding your head, but you're asking this. I'm saying as peoples, they've never been aligned.
I'm a Catholic like you, and I have many Jewish friends. I'm just trying to compute what you're trying to say, which is Jews and Christians have never been friends ever. And I'm like, well, you have Jewish friends, I have Jewish friends, we're both Catholics, therefore we're Christians. It doesn't really quite add up.
Well, like I said, as peoples, there has been an historical antagonism as peoples. And you could even say the same about blacks in the United States. Of course, there were black and white people that were friendly with each other, but in many ways, they were set against each other as groups. And I think that's easy enough to understand.
The reason that many people think you're anti-Semitic is that you have regularly downplayed the Holocaust, and in particular, the number of Jewish people who were murdered by the Nazis. It's been said that you believe no more than several 100,000 have been killed. And I want to play you this clip.
People talk about, well, what about the gas chambers? Well,
To the extent that that's real, I find that hard to believe, but to the extent that's real, there have been atrocities committed and genocides committed in all.
Wow, he's so woke. He's actually doing the. He's actually saying like the nobody cares about what King Leopold did. He's woke Fuentes, dude. Yeah, this is the new dark woke meta.
All times and all places. Let's acknowledge why Hitler casts the long shadow. Because that confers a political benefit upon Jews. That's why. It doesn't really sound correct to me. Wait a second. It takes 1 hour to cook a batch of cookies, and you have 15 ovens, probably in 4 different kitchens, right? Doing 24 hours a day, every day for 5 years. How long would it take you to make 6 million? I don't know. It certainly wouldn't be 5 years, right? The math doesn't seem to add up there.
You think that's funny?
It's funny. It's amusing what you're doing because, that one was a joke. But do you want to talk seriously about the Holocaust?
Yeah, I do actually. I do because I just find it extraordinary that you would think the Holocaust could ever be something that we could joke about.
Why, too soon? Is it too soon to make jokes?
How many people do you think died in the Holocaust? How many Jewish people?
I don't know. I'm thinking maybe 7 million. What's the number? 6 million, something like that?
So
8 million?
You concede that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust?
Possibly more. Possibly, we're discovering all the time. So it could maybe even be more than that.
So why have you doubted the numbers?
Yeah, he's doing a 6-7 meme, and you dumb fucks are literally hitting it. And I mean, this is it. This is the whole point, right? You can't when you argue and debate with fascists like and Holocaust revisionists and shit, like they're going to have an entirely separate set of bullshit facts that they will draw from, and it's a deep well because there have been years and years, just like the Lost Cause, just like the Daughters of the Confederacy. They took that L and then they never let go of it, and for years and years and years they concocted whatever narrative they could in an effort to downplay it, and also simultaneously, like it's not as serious. Because if you're a Jewish person that's been taught about this, mechanized version of death that Jews experienced, like it's and you have immediate relatives in your family that were around when that shit was happening still, right? It's going to obviously invoke a sense of emotion. But if you're a fucking Nazi, you could just like joke around about it. It doesn't matter. And the moment that you can joke around about it and the other side can't because they take it, seriously, then you lost the argument technically because you got emotional.
In the past?
I'll tell you why. I really think that every death is a tragedy, however many Jewish people died in the Holocaust. And I'm not a World War II historian, so I'm actually open to believing the official narrative, and I've read some of the conspiracy theories. And to tell you the truth, it's a rigorous debate. But what's interesting about this is in many countries, it's not even legal to talk about it. And that's really where my interest in the Holocaust begins and sort of ends, to tell you the truth, is that if you wanted to question the number, you would be put in jail in about, 17 or 18 European countries. And I think that's really the more interesting conversation, which is that this is almost like a religious dogma in the West.
Yeah, he starts off with the debate. And then when it's not a disputed fact. And then he brings it to an environment of censorship. And the reason why there is an environment of censorship around this sort of thing is because it was a telltale marker of fascism for the longest time, especially in countries that were destroyed by fascist movements. It's just a great way to figure out the canary in the coal mine. Although many of these previous ways of trying to suppress or cast aside growing fascist movements, many of the methods that were adopted were then also greatly abused to actively go after any kind of critic of Israel. And at this point, you arrive at someone like Nick Fuentes, who is now seen as like a sincere defender of Palestinians for this reason. You gave too much room for fascists to grow with no alternatives, with no room to grow for all of the anti-fascist movements. And it took less than 100 years for society to basically snap back in that direction.
No other genocide, no other atrocity is treated like this. Could you imagine if in the United States they said the number of Palestinians killed in Gaza is 100?
How is Nick wrong about this? See, he's going to cynically tie this back to Palestine, right? He's right about this. I'm not. What the fuck? How is Nick wrong about questioning the numbers in the Holocaust? What the fuck are you talking about? This is not a subject matter that is in dispute. It's one of the most chronicled atrocities of all time. You can talk about why it's one of the most chronicled atrocities of all time. You can even go so far as to write an entire book about how the Holocaust played a formative role in justifying the creation of a fascist settler colonial state, and how the reminder is cynically weaponized to justify the continued atrocities that Palestinian people are subjected to. Okay, that part is true. You know who wrote about it? Norm Finkelstein did, as a matter of fact. The son of 2 Holocaust survivors, as a matter of fact. So that part is not in dispute. But the numbers are they're not questioned for good reason, not because of like an environment of fear surrounding it. But the reason why there was censorship around this sort of stuff is the same reason why there's censorship around wearing the fucking banner of the Nazis, right? Because these are telltale, or used to be telltale markers, and still are telltale markers of fascism. And even in liberal societies in Europe, telltale markers of fascism were banned for understandable fucking reasons. Okay? Do you not understand? It's no different. Holocaust denial or Holocaust revisionism is banned in this for the same exact reasons why wearing a swastika is banned in European society. Because it's a clear-cut marker that you are a fascist, you are a Nazi. This guy said, wait, hold on. Not as bad as communism in USSR and China, but yeah, Nazism is the worst regime in recent history. So you say there are no differences in crime, but then justify the difference? Not sure I'm following the reasoning. I don't think you're following any of the reasoning here. Can't the same exact arguments be applied to you and your audience? I love, brother. Let me tell you something. Okay? I fucking love these kinds of like, I'm actually a centrist type right-wingers, okay? Because they're so fucking stupid. So there are no broken houses in Canada and Switzerland because they definitely have guns. Do they have the same fucking level of guns? Let's apply Canadian or Swiss levels of gun control in the United States of America then, okay? And let's see those fucking gun violence rates drop. Dumbass. Deleted, really? What's with the useless hypocritical suppression? Wait, what? First of all, suck my dick. Take a fucking day out. Actually, you know what? Take a week off. We ban whoever the fuck we want to ban. I unbanned that fucking pet. But the reason why he got banned is because he's very clearly trying to be like, trying to needle and derail in the conversation when it's a fucking 2-hour video that I'm trying to watch. Okay? Now you're more banned than this fucking dipshit is. Okay? What is this? You get more grace in this chat than any other fucking Twitch streamer's chat. I don't do any like restrictions beyond a follow limitation. Okay. There is no like subscriber only chat or anything like that. So if we're going to use that endless amount of charity and also my willingness to talk to you like a human being, to derail the conversation over and over again, of course some of the mods are going to fucking clap them. I like that, like, very insincere, I'm just genuinely curious as fucking takes are immediately met with like a line of defense from other chatters. Like, you don't have to automatically assume that these guys are good faith, okay? They're not. This person is not. Not as bad as communism in USSR and China, but yeah, Nazism is one of the worst regimes in recent history. Explain what you mean, chatter. Communism is worse than Nazism. I like that it hasn't taken much for people to engage in Holocaust revisionism while we're talking about the Holocaust. Yeah, I literally didn't realize how spoiled I was until I went to another channel for the first time and got hit with ad breaks like crazy and couldn't use the chat. Yep. Anyway, that's
thousand. And if you don't say that, you're going to jail. You're banned on X. You can't have a job. That's the part that's totally insane. And a lot of people, they can't even make up their minds. I think it's actually done a disservice. If your goal, and I'm not saying you as Piers Morgan, but if you're an advocate for awareness about this, if your goal is to convince everybody that this is the way the Holocaust happened, I think the last thing you'd want to do is say that everyone that disagrees is in jail.
Yeah, notice how he doesn't talk about the other subsequent bans. Just this one. There's a reason for that. Because he knows that that argument is better for optics in general than to say, why can't I wear a swastika if I want to? Because those are the same reasons, okay? Holocaust denial is censored for the exact same reason that wearing a swastika is censored. Okay? That's it. That's it. There is discourse around the Holocaust. You can engage in an academic debate even, okay? And many people do in colleges and in academic institutions and whatnot, okay? There's a difference between that. There's a difference between that and outright Holocaust denial or Holocaust revisionism the way that Nick Fuentes is doing, because he's signaling to his audience that he's a fucking neo-Nazi. And while it is not illegal to do so in the United States of America, it is illegal in some European countries.
And is banned, and you're not allowed to say it. So there's really been no open debate about the subject since the scholarship started to be produced about 60 years ago.
But there is no debate to be had about the number of people who were murdered. Even the Nazis in the trials after the war confirmed the numbers. The amount of documentation that was recovered, notwithstanding the attempts by the Nazis to destroy it, the amount of documentation that was saved and preserved and used for trials and for historical record is unprecedented in the history of mass slaughter of human beings. So we have a very clear idea of how many people were gassed to death in the gas chambers. We have a very clear idea of how many were starved to death, were kept in ghettos, died of disease, of forced labor, of death marches. We know how many Jews were slaughtered. It's at least 6 million. What's interesting to me is that you appear to now concede that, which may be news to a lot of your regular viewers who have constantly heard you quibble with the number of Jews who died.
No, they don't care about ideological purity of this sort. Some might, but most of them don't. Most of them understand that you have to say those sorts of things when you go to mainstream media, and they don't even care whether it was like 6 million. They literally will say it didn't happen, but if it did, it was good, and actually more of it should happen. So for them, it's not, like there is no such gotcha. There is no like ideological purity that you can try, like an ideological standard that you can bring forward here. And that's also another reason why, arguing with Nazis is always a silly endeavor.
In the Holocaust. For the record, just to confirm what I think you told me, you do now accept that at least 6 million Jews were killed in the Holocaust.
Well, no, I said it could even be higher than
Well,
that.
it could
I said
be higher. That is
I think
true.
it's at least.
But you
I think you're
accept
right.
at
It is
least.
at least. Oh, it's at least 6 million. But it
Okay.
could be 100
well,
times
people
more
are
than
gonna
that.
be, okay, the people are going to be...
Yeah, see, he keeps like insincerely signaling, oh, no, it's even more than that. It's even more than that.
But let me respond to the rest of your question.
Sure.
What you're saying, I understand where you're coming from when you say it has been documented and there are confessions and so on. Let that speak for itself. But you don't see, your show is called Piers Morgan Uncensored.
Yep.
But the United Kingdom is censored and Europe is censored. And if you talk about these things, you will be put in jail in many countries. And I think that's where a lot of people start to say, well, if the truth is so clear and if there's such overwhelming evidence, why do you need to throw people in jail for disagreeing? And you yourself said, well, there is no debate. I think everything is debatable. I think everything at least should be debated. And if the evidence is very one-sided, let the evidence speak. Don't throw people in jail. So do you think that Holocaust denial laws should be overturned?
I don't particularly agree with Holocaust denial laws. I don't think people should be imprisoned.
Okay.
Well, because I have a blanket view now, which has evolved slightly actually over the years, that I have a blanket view that speech should not be criminalized, right? People should be allowed to say what they want to say, and they should be then made accountable for what they say. If you have an employer, they can make a view about whether you are the right kind of person they want for their employment, as they would make a decision about anything else you do in life. So I actually believe that speech should never be criminalized. It's my personal view. I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in the United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years?
It's crazy that these motherfuckers will be like, oh, I want free speech. Even like Piers Morgan is like, oh, I think free speech is fostering debate. When in fact, it's the very same people that were like, doing everything in their power to deplatform people who were pro-Palestine. I guess with respect to Piers, at least he did offer a platform to pro-Palestinian sentiment. But Matt Walsh asked Ben Shapiro if he could watch this video. Too soon killed me. Piers playing Nick's greatest hits and Nick sitting back like Kobe watching his own highlights. Lol. Piers not understanding per capita or Catholic doctrine was hilarious. I don't think he went the way that Piers hoped he would. Yeah, it's all overwhelmingly, I assume it's overwhelmingly brigaded.
Would be criminalized. It's my personal view.
I'm in Sweden. I stopped learning Arabic to watch this. Uncensored show, but they cut out what Kyan said. Piers pretending to know per capita will never not be, to not know per capita will never not be funny. Oh, Matt Walsh is still a thing? No, they're dunking on Matt Walsh. They're saying Matt Walsh asked Ben Shapiro to watch this video. Groypers are the one community that brigade harder than DGG/H3. I mean, it's interesting because DGG and Groypers were hand in hand for the longest time. And I think I'm being so serious about this. I think Destiny lost more audience members to the Groypers, including his literal son, than he actually won from the Groypers back to his side. It's the obvious. It's the obvious limitations of having a liberal worldview. It's still the same equation of like, why have diet soda when you can have the full strength soda? What do you think that would be a good counter argument towards let the evidence speak for itself? What do you mean? The evidence does speak for itself. I already explained it to you. The reason why Holocaust denial is banned is the same reason why wearing a fucking swastika is banned, okay? Saying Heil Hitler is banned or Sig Heiling in public is banned in some of these places. They don't have the same extent of free speech, the same expansive definition of free speech that we do here in the United States of America. And that is but it's the same principle. Okay? There are limitations to free speech in every society, including in the United States of America. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't threaten someone with violence. You can't defame people without punishments. Obviously, it's not a criminal punishment for defamation, but basically, there are limitations to speech everywhere, including in the United States of America, including on places like 4chan poll. So that already exists. It's just about whether or not you think the current limitations are appropriate or not. And if your argument is, why is this limitation there? I'm explaining it to you. It's because these societies that were wrecked by Nazi ideology and fascist ideology do not want to offer any fucking daylight or any sunlight to said Nazi ideology. There's no question Destiny lost more than he gained. Dude was profoundly narcissistic moron thinking he could own Fuentes. Worse off, he rocket shipped this dude single-handedly back in the mainstream internet commentary sphere. Oh, 100%. I agree with that, yes. I mean, he admitted to doing so personally. And I think it's one of the things that he's the most embarrassed by. In any case, the reason why it exists is the same reason why you can't wear a swastika, but obviously Nick can't defend wearing a swastika in public as an act of free speech, because most people will go, oh, that's gross. But at least this part, arguing over the numbers of dead Jewish people in the Holocaust, is more permissible. It's more like the average person can hear that and go, yeah, that doesn't make any sense, huh? Okay? Ultimately, this is the problem with dealing with Nazis who engage in Nazi propaganda. Their goal is to basically act as though they're opening your conscience, or opening your conscience to the real truth, the secret truths that you've been sheltered from.
I understand why in places like Germany, they have strong laws about it because they want to move on from what they believe was the most shameful moment in their history. I understand that. Do I want that in my country? No. Am I appalled by what has been going on with free speech in the United Kingdom in the last 2 or 3 years? Absolutely. It is ridiculous that people have been frog-marched to prison cells for stuff they put on social media. Right? So, yeah, I do. I think what is more interesting to me about our exchange is I was not expecting you to go the opposite way. I was not expecting you to be so emphatic that at least 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust. And there'll be people watching this who I think will be very surprised by that, because you have built a reputation for being, if not a Holocaust denier, then somebody constantly questioning in a downward way the number of Jews who were murdered. That doesn't appear to be what your position is now.
No, and here's what I would like to see for my entire career. When I started my show, it started with a good faith inquiry where I was questioning a lot of these narratives. And I said, what is the answer on the other side? But what I found is that the answer was criminalized. So when you would talk about anything regarding Jews, Israel, the Holocaust, you could be in favor of the official narrative on those things. If you went against, you were banned, censored, and in some countries jailed. And so I actually haven't made up my mind on that, because that's not really a matter of interest to me. And there's a lot of analysis and scholarship on both sides of the issue. And I've read both sides of the issue. And honestly, unfortunately, it's hard to judge because there's never been a debate on it. And there's never been a debate because of the stigma, because of the censorship. And I think that leads a lot of people to say, well, what do they have to hide? Because you can say on your show, well, I'm personally against how.
Yeah, again, we've moved 18 fucking goalposts away from like the real reason, the real ambition behind this. Oh, dude, he really cares about he really cares about everybody learning about the number of Jews that were killed in the Holocaust. That's why he's like, we shouldn't have an environment of censorship, because otherwise people start questioning it. Like, we need to learn the nuance of Nazism. We need to learn the both sides in this. Yeah, I mean, I guess there is like at least some environment of fear still. That he chooses to do this kind of thing instead of just like saying it with his whole ass chest.
Holocaust denial laws, yet they still persist and the social consequences still persist. And I think that is the anomaly. And people have to wonder, okay, why is it that way? And what I said in that clip is the reason the Holocaust casts a long shadow is because it confers a political benefit upon organized Jewry. That is what they always fall back on. They cannot be criticized. They cannot be named. They cannot be talked about, lest there be another Holocaust. And no other tragedy is treated that way. And no other ethnic group has a get out of jail free card. Just play that. Anti-Semitism and Holocaust. You can do whatever you want and defend all your actions. That's the part that people are getting upset with. That's the problem.
I don't know any right-minded person who believes that Jewish people weaponized the Holocaust for their own personal get out of jail free or whatever you called it.
You don't know anyone that does that that believes that?
I'm sure there are some people that do that, but it's such a ridiculous generalization. You know, the truth is that most Jewish people have lost relatives in the Holocaust.
Bro, Israel being tied to Judaism is a fucking, it was a ticking time bomb. Okay? It was a ticking time bomb. Such arrogance to assume that this would not inevitably blow up in everybody's fucking faces. What a gift to neo-Nazis like Nick Fuentes. It's fucking crazy. It's like eventually people were going to go, hey, this stuff is kind of crazy. You're doing like 17th century style sieges over here. We don't do this kind of stuff, especially not in broad daylight, and especially not with like the full purview and legal protection of the beautiful liberal Western world and Western society. We're supposed to be advanced. People were taught that this kind of stuff is unacceptable. And for the longest fucking time, and people still do it, people still lean into it, it was, oh, it's just anti-Semitism if you fucking speak out against this. So now, people like Nick Fuentes, who despise Jewish people and you know, want to kill Jewish people and do whatever the fuck Hitler did, can turn around and act as though they're simply talking about this from the point of view of criticizing Israel.
In fact, I want to play you two clips. One is where you talk about Adolf Hitler.
Hitler was a pedophile and kind of a pagan. It's like, well, he was also really fucking cool. So, you know, time to grow up. We're not children anymore. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right, boys? Am I right? Let's go. He was also really fucking cool.
Do you regret saying that?
Saying a fact? No, that's absolutely true.
You think Hitler was very fucking cool?
Then we should treat conflating Judaism with Zionism within leftist circles with the same full-chested, unambiguous stigma that we treat advocating for Zionism because it is advocating for Zionism. There should be no moral leeway given in this matter. What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, I shit on people who tie Judaism and Zionism together with regular fucking frequency. Yeah, I do it all the time. What do you mean? What? Within leftist circles? I don't know what you mean by that.
Yes, I do.
One of them.
And I'm tired of pretending he's not.
Well,
to be honest.
This is the problem, you see. It's a bit like when you just say, I'm a racist. You're a racist who thinks Hitler's cool, but you're not anti-Semitic. If you're a Jewish person watching this, what are they thinking? I'll tell you what they're thinking, because I've got a friend of mine called Danny Finkelstein, who, when he heard I was interviewing...
Brother, do not read the comments on that wrong post you put up on your story. Yeah, I don't give a shit. Yeah, people are still spamming the fucking memes. Who cares?
You. He's a Times journalist in the UK, very eminent journalist here, and author, who wrote a book about his own family's experiences at the hands of Hitler and Stalin, because you also told Tucker Carlson that you admire Stalin. But let's just take what Danny said here.
Hi Piers, it's Danny Finkelstein here. As you're interviewing Nick Fuentes, you might try suggesting to him that he reads my book, Hitler, Stalin, Mum and Dad. It's called Two Roads Home in the United States. Since he says he's on Team Hitler, you might like to ask him about the fact that Hitler arrested my mum, tried to starve my mum to death, did starve my grandmother to death, sent my great aunt to the gas chamber, my great uncle, my cousin.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to give a shit. I'm going to be honest. He is anti-Semitic, so he's going to be like...
My grandmother on my father's side ended up being one out of 7 children, the only one that survived the war. So you might ask him whether he wouldn't rather be on Team Mum rather than Team Hitler. And as for celebrating Stalin's birthday, well, Stalin took my father, sent him to a state collective farm, sent my grandmother and to a state collective farm, sent my grandfather to the Gulag. You might try asking him why he doesn't celebrate Dad's birthday rather than Stalin's. It may all be a big joke to him, but he complains that he was 18 when someone tried to cancel him. Well, Stalin and Hitler arrested my mum and my dad when they were 10 years old. So perhaps he might like to reconsider his joke.
See, that's the reality of...
Oh, God. It's crazy to assume that a fucking straight up neo-Nazi is going to turn around and be like, oh my God, your feelings are hurt? That's crazy. He likes it, man. The fuck? Why the fuck would he care about your mom? Like, that's insane. That's an insane thing to be like, oh, but you don't, yeah, say it to my face. Yeah, he will probably. What the fuck? This is quite literally the worst angle of attack here, okay?
Your jokes, although I haven't ascertained yet whether you are joking when you say that Hitler was very fucking cool. Are you joking, or do you actually think he was very fucking cool?
I also despise people that do this equivocation between Stalin and Hitler. Okay, it's ridiculous. Criticisms of Stalin are perfectly valid. This level of equivocation is insane because Stalin did technically liberate, you know, a big chunk of your family, your father and present company aside. So, the fuck are we talking about?
The most genocidal
cool.
monster of the last 150 years.
Directly.
Yeah,
The thing is, my generation, we're just done with the pearl clutching. You know,
Yeah, you might
we
be,
make
but then your
edgy-
generation hasn't gone through what Danny Finkelstein's family went through. So
Yeah.
maybe the pearl clutching has a way to go for families whose family
Yeah,
members.
like he liberated Poland by occupying it instead. Did he or did he not liberate the concentration camps? The fuck? It's like talking about England or the United States of America, okay? I do not allow revisionism and hatred when it comes to what Easy Company did. So I think it's fucking ridiculous to do the same thing to a group of people that lost more people liberating the concentration camps than the United States of America did, okay? Get the fuck out of here. Ridiculous. Meanwhile, we're talking about occupation. America still occupies South Korea and Japan. And we nuked Japan.
Oh my
were
gosh! Yeah,
murdered.
we got all that. We, you know,
That was
me-
not Stalin, Lamau, just millions and millions of Soviet people sacrificed. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. What do you mean? It's gross to fucking turn around and be like, oh, these guys are all yeah, okay. It's like it's saying the same about FDR. Okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Are you talking shit about Easy Company? Please say this ain't so. No, of course not, and I never will.
me mom. Like we're, you know, I don't even know who this person is. Why is this person talking to me? This old British guy is saying me mom got killed by Hitler.
Because
and
he
me
doesn't
dad
find
got
it
killed
funny
by-
when you say Hitler's very fucking
I don't
cool.
care.
He finds
I don't
I know you
care.
don't care. That's fine. You don't have to care. But he does care.
Does that guy care about America? Does that guy care about me and my country and my family? No.
He
The guy
cares what you,
that's
a
the
prominent
problem.
conservative in America, has to say about Adolf Hitler. And what do you mean by Hitler is very fucking cool? Because I think he's very fucking a monster.
Okay. And that's a clip. I think he's very fucking a monster. Do you hear yourself?
Yeah, I
I mean,
do.
can we all grow up?
I do.
Can we all grow
He
up?
murdered
That
12
is just
million
childish.
people. He murdered 12 million
Okay.
people. What is very fucking cool about that? Tell me.
The edits, it's just cool. The uniforms, the parades, it's cool as a guy. You look at World War II and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's compelling and it's cool. And, you know, we're just tired of saying these kinds of things. We want to talk like real people and give our honest opinions. And then we literally get
I think saying ha 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 that's a clip is way more cringe than him saying accidentally he's very fucking a monster. Ha 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 that's a clip. Oh my god, dude.
an old Jewish guy from England who's going to say, oh, that's not very funny, mate. Me mom. And it's like, shut up. Like, you know, no one is in favor of genocide. So let's just get that out of the way. We're not in favor of a Holocaust or genocide.
Do you think if half
It's
your
80
family had
years
been,
ago.
you think if half your family had been wiped out by very fucking cool Hitler, you'd still think he was very fucking cool? Or would you think that actually he was a despicable monster who murdered 12 million people, who targeted people because they were disabled or Jewish or Romani Gypsy or whatever it may be, and that he systematically destroyed people, incinerated them in gas chambers? Do you think that you would find it very fucking cool if your family had been through that? Or do you think he would find it very fucking disgusting? And perhaps moderate the number of times you laugh about it, or want to joke about it, or want to abuse someone like Danny Finkelstein, who's written incredibly powerful books about what happened to his extended family at the hands of the Nazis and your other hero, Stalin. See, my point to you, Nick Fuentes, is that in parts of this interview, you try to come across as moderate, but every now and again, the mask slips. And it slipped again here with what you say about Hitler. There's nothing very fucking cool about Hitler. We know that from history now. We know what...
I mean, what is the productivity of this conversation? You got him to like openly say he thinks Hitler is based and cool. You got him to do Holocaust revisionism. You got him to say that he's a racist. Like, it's just, I don't know. It's just confusing. You could have just like played his greatest hits on your own and just been like, this guy fucking sucks. Am I right? And be done with it. He's just fucking sitting there and mocking you. It's great for his audience. You know? I don't know. I just think it is very, very dangerous stuff that we're entertaining. But I do have to go right now because I have to do a photo shoot for an article that's coming out. And unfortunately, I have to leave you on that note. We didn't even get to finish this thing. There's another 40 minutes on this, but I probably won't go through it tomorrow. But there is quite a bit that I didn't get to today, including gaming. Yes, including gaming.
No, what I'm saying to you is, by your logic, if we now have agreed that the vast majority of mass shootings in schools are committed by white people and predominantly young white men, then presumably...
How do you explain the significant difference in the crime rate between poor blacks and poor whites? Probably not something you'd analyze because it'd shatter your virtuous narrative. Wait, what? the crime rate between poor blacks and poor whites. The real racist ball knowers wouldn't say the crime rates between poor whites and poor blacks. The real racist ball knowers would say, what's the difference between cross-racial crimes? Okay? If you want to be a better racist, you should actually not advance this argument, which is stupid. You should actually advance the other argument. There's an answer for that as well. If you would like me to explain to you, I can also explain to you that as well, because it's obviously when you're going to commit a crime, you're going to commit a crime towards people that in most circumstances, especially crimes born out of direct poverty, like, thefts and robberies and whatnot, you're going to do it to people that have money, right? And black people, by and large, live in urban environments as opposed to white people that live in the suburbs or rural areas. And therefore, the moneyed groups oftentimes happen to be white on average. And therefore, when white people are stealing, they're stealing from other white people. But when black people are stealing, they're not usually stealing from other black people, but they're stealing from people who do have money, especially in the neighborhoods, or at least close enough to the neighborhoods that they live in. So there is an answer to the actual racist ball knowers that know the better talking point, but you didn't even get a racist, I think. If you wanna be a better racist, you should learn the proper talking points. Not only are you racist, but you're not even good at it. The other reason for why there is any sort of disparity within crime rates is because obviously black neighborhoods are over-policed. One of the greatest examples for this is, of course, the prevalence of, smoking weed, for example, or doing cocaine, doing drugs and whatnot. White people and black people do drugs at the same rates, and yet black people are actually over-policed for the same exact types of drug crimes. They get longer sentences for the same exact drug possession crimes, for example. And on top of that, once they're in the system, because there's no leniency towards black people doing the exact same thing, then the sentencing disparity that exists, it's much harder to come back from that, leading them into a life of poverty and maybe more crime as a consequence of that. This is the reason why a lot of people, when they talk about 1350, are actually just simply looking at arrest numbers and not convictions. Especially in a country where, clearance rates are incredibly low, in a country where where black people are over-sentenced and oftentimes found guilty of crimes that they later are exonerated from. Anyway, what happened? Why is he not responding? Did he get offended when I said he was he was not only an L racist, but just not even good at doing racism? ChatGPT, please craft an elaborate narrative. Yeah, why you can't compare based on race. The fact that predominantly white localities rarely approach levels of disadvantage found in predominantly black and to a lesser extent Hispanic areas makes it difficult to compare the race and ethnic specific effects of structural disadvantage on race and ethnic specific levels of violence. He's getting no, he's getting bullied by black teenagers right now. No, they found him. No, they found him in the library. Terrifying. Anyway, let's continue.
Presumably, your advice would be to avoid young white men because they perpetrate these massacres. But it won't be because they're white, right?
So are you playing dumb or are you actually dumb?
Maybe
it's
I'm
about
dumb.
proportionality.
Maybe I'm dumb.
You are because you're, well, I don't think you are dumb. I think you're smart actually, but you're deliberately avoiding per capita. And everybody knows that's the difference. What proportion of white men are school shooters? It's probably 0.00001%. What proportion?
Okay, yeah. What proportion of black men are violent murderers? Well, the number I made up in my mind is 1 in 20. Like, okay.
Of black men have committed violent crimes. It's probably like 5. 5%. I guess
Probably, you know, I saw it on X. Probably, dude. Also, I love that he is comparing school shootings to all violent crime. He's not comparing like what proportion of white people are responsible for all violent crime as opposed to the proportion of black men. And I'm sure, especially given like what violent crime is, which includes like aggravated assault and all manner of different thefts and whatnot. I'm sure that given the poverty element that we already talked about, if you make the proportionality argument, certainly the proportion of black people that are doing violent crime is going to be higher than the proportion of white people doing violent crime. There's more white people. White people are also in better material circumstances as opposed to black people in general. But once again, that is not a byproduct of genetic differences, and that is not a byproduct of cultural differences, but instead a byproduct of poverty. That's it. So if you actually want to solve crime, you have to solve poverty, but none of these motherfuckers actually want to solve poverty because they would rather just keep being racist. And this is also precisely the reason why I always say, like, these guys are fake. Whenever they talk about, left populist sentiment, it's totally fucking bullshit. Because at the end of the day, their analysis is utterly devoid of alleviating poverty. They don't care about that at all. The argument Piers Morgan is making here, for the record, is actually a decent one. He's saying, well, you see a black person and you automatically assume that they're a fucking criminal, but you don't see a white student going to school and automatically assume that they're a school shooter. That's what he's saying. He's trying to explain to Nick Fuentes why he's being racist. But Nick Fuentes is trying to move the conversation away to like these ridiculous false equivalencies.
I don't know what it is off the top of my head, but it's very high. And I would add to that, even as it concerns schools. Why do you think parents pay a super high property tax to live in a school district where there's white people? Because they know that if they go to the black school, it's going to be the blood.
That's true. I like that he even factors in property tax into this equation, which is hilarious because, like, he also knows why, schools in predominantly black neighborhoods are underfunded. That means he knows. He must know, right? I hope Piers Morgan knows.
Bloods and the Crips. It's going to be gangs. It's going to be, you talk about school shootings. Nobody talks about all the school shootings that are committed by gangbangers in and around the school and all the other violence that's associated with that. I mean, these schools in the south side of Chicago, it's just not livable.
I have an answer for you, Nick. So the proportion of the population who carry out mass shootings is actually the same for black and white.
For white people, the proportion of
the proportion
again,
of the population.
are you hearing it? No.
See,
What's
I think the trouble with
proportion?
your statistics is a lot of them don't bear much scrutiny. We have a bunch of fact checkers checking all this in real time because you do have a tendency to just come out with a lot of old baloney. And when you say,
okay,
well, it's true. And when you're confronted with reality, you don't like it.
Dude, when I see a fucking 20-year-old wearing a suit and tie saying gangbangers, like, how the fuck do you look at this goddamn nerd and go, that's my based heroic figure, dog? How is that possible? He's just afraid of black children. Like, that's most of his motivating principle comes from being afraid of black people. And he's not even embarrassed to admit that. Okay. And he says she's like gangbangers. And you're out here being like, that guy is so based, bro. That guy is so fucking based. He's a whole ass dweeb, dude. What the fuck? I mean, just look at Asman. Okay. Yeah, you're right. At least he fucking looks like he takes a shower every now and then. Jesus Christ. Ugh. .25% of black people commit murder and 0.27% of white people commit murder. Yeah, he's not even talking about murder. He was talking about violent crime in general. Did his first grade black friend bully him? Or why is he afraid of black children? Do you guys stop listening to dudes who don't shower? Is the question that someone had in the chat. And the answer is, if you met someone, okay, and you thought they were fucking brilliant, and then you actually encounter them in the real world for once, and they were stinky as hell, would you see him in the same way? Yeah, if I can smell you, and it's not like a one-off, because we just played basketball or something, I'm probably going to think less of you. Okay? It's true. Oh my God, everyone thinks, yeah, I'm describing a Greek philosopher. Yeah, exactly. The only place to spit in a rich man's home is his face. Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. The modern day Diogenes is actually going, yeah, boys. You got it.
Okay.
What's the figure? What proportion of white people have committed school shootings? With white people as the denominator